श्रीवत्सवंशकलशोदधिकौस्तुभस्य श्रीवासराघवगुरोस्तनयं ततश्च विद्यावाप्य विबुधोत्तमतां दधानं पूर्वे सदा हृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् स्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपयर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वय भट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि. We were looking at Tattva, Hita and Purushartha and also the types of Chetanas and Achetanas. We also saw a little about Karma. We said Prarabdha Karma can also be classified into Abhyupagata and Anabhyupagata. What is Anabhyupagata? Basically, the Prapanna, the person who has performed a Sharanagati, is there any karma that he is accepting to go through, or is he not accepting? That is going to decide whether it is Abhyupagata or Anabhyupagata. Sanchita karma is the past, ancient past karma. Kriyamana karma is the karma that is currently being performed. Some people, especially us technically, in Shri Vaishnavism, we do not add Kriyamana karma as a separate type of karma. Because everything that has come in the past is going into Prarabdha and Sanchita. Kriyamana is present, that's it. When it comes to Bhakti Yoga, we have seen in the past that it is very difficult to perform. But it is not just about the difficulty to perform. If you want to perform Bhakti Yoga, in the first Janma, that is the Janma in which you are beginning Bhakti Yoga, you need Dvijatva. This implies that if you are going to be a different kind of a person, if you are a person who has Bhakti but cannot perform Bhakti Yoga, then even if you are a Dvija, Bhakti Yoga is not going to be a path for you. Suppose you are not a Dvija, but you want to perform Bhakti Yoga. Is it possible? In some cases, it is possible. We do see even great saints, for some reason, they could not get moksha. In the next life, they were born as an animal. But even as animal, they were able to perform Bhakti Yoga properly. So we are able to see cases of even animals performing properly. But when does it work? It works when in the first life in which they started beginning. When we say first life, we should understand that life is actually infinite. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam has happened since forever. It has happened since forever to the extent that there is absolutely no life that can ever be called as starting life. Na jayate mriyate va. This is said about the Atma. It is said by the Upanishad. It is also said in Bhagavad Gita. It is quoted by Shankaracharya. In his Brahma Sutra Bhashya, Adi Shankaracharya argues How can the jiva ever have birth? What do you even mean by birth? Atma is nitya. It does not have birth. It has always been there. Atma has always been there, but in some life, whatever, what do we call as life then? We call life as the state of the Atma when that Atma is inside a usable body. Why do we say usable body? If the Atma is inside a stone, we do not call it as life. When Ahalya was turned into stone, what was turned into stone? Only her body was turned into stone. Her Atma was still there. But we do not call it as life. Life is when you are a living organism. For that, you need a usable body. When you enter a usable body, you have birth. When you leave that usable body, it is called death. So, you have birth and death. Due to this Sharira Sambandha, Varnas, Ashramas, genders, all of them are created. One is a male, one is a female. Due to Sharira Sambandha, a newborn child, we say the child is a brahmachari. After that, he has to adopt another ashrama. Go to whatever, grastha ashrama or sannyasa or whatever. Likewise, there is varna bheda also. So, in the birth in which you are beginning, you have to either be a kshatriya or be a brahmana or belong to particular groups of Vaishyas who are performing bhakti yoga. Among the Vaishyas, it is said that certain people were performing bhakti yoga, but some other people, despite belonging to the Vaishya community, were not so advanced. As an example, we see the people who lived during the time of Krishna. Krishna was brought up among cowherds. The people there were so simple minded. They were not Shudras, they were Vaishyas. But they were so simple minded that they could not distinguish between the right hand and the left hand. They were so simple minded, they did not think too much, but they had pure bhakti. So, showing bhakti is one thing, being able to perform bhakti yoga is another. If you want to perform bhakti yoga, the first life in which you are performing it, in that life you need to be a dvija. You need to get education about that particular Brahma Vidya, how it has to be done. You have to receive it by Upadesha. Then you have to start practicing. Once you start practicing, you should practice continuously. If you stop, then again you will have to perform prayashchitta to come back to your original state and then resume bhakti yoga again. This is what happened with Brahmadeva. We have seen it before in the story of Brahma and Kanchipuram. Now there is the need to do prayashchitta. If bhakti yoga stops, why? Because constant bhakti is required in bhakti yoga to give moksha. If you are not able to have constant bhakti, that means you are failing in the path. You are falling down from the ladder. Once I fall down from the ladder, what should I do to get back? I should get some support to get back to the original place so that I can travel further. That is done through the prayashchitta. So the scriptures have mentioned prayashchittas also, depending on the case and depending on how advanced the bhakti yogi is. The prayashchitta is mentioned for it. The time taken for moksha depends on how perfectly bhakti yoga is done. That is going to depend on the prarabdha karma as well. Because in prarabdha, if there is a lot of prapti virodhi karma, prapti virodhi means that karma phala will always try to prevent you from doing something good. When you are listening to, let us say, you are listening to a lecture, the lecture is about Sanatana Dharma, or the lecture is about moksha, and you start feeling sleepy. Why would it happen? Maybe you are not interested, or maybe you are interested, but still you are feeling sleepy. This has happened. In childhood, it used to happen with me. In temples, my mother would lift me up and carry me to the temple. I loved going to the temple. But sometimes in crowded temples, I would fall asleep. When I wake up, we would have already finished the darshan and come back. There is no point in crying. But what is happening there? What is happening is that even though you are interested in something dharmic, I want to listen to a dharmic lecture, but somehow I am feeling sleepy. I want to get darshan of Bhagwan in the temple, but somehow I get sleepy, or I fall down, I get injured. Something or the other. Not by my own free will, but something happens and prevents me from doing it. That happens. I used to have a friend who would say he tried so many times to visit Sri Rangam and get the darshan of Ranganatha Swami, but he was unable. Every single time he was unable. Likewise, there are people who talk about Tirupati. They say only when he wants, we are able to get the darshan. Whenever we want, we try. But it is only when Bhagavan wants that we are able to get the darshan. He has to call us there. We don't know when he will call us. In that way, people very frequently say, many people say that. What does it mean? Bhagavan will call us when he wants. He obviously wants us to be near him. It is our own karma that is preventing us from going near him. So, if there is such prapti virodhi karma which prevents us from doing bhakti yoga, then we have to do prayashchitta. I do prayashchitta, I return to my original position, then perform bhakti yoga, then there is no guarantee that I don't fall down again. I might fall down again due to some other prarabdha papa. In this way, the time taken for moksha, for some people it is very less, but for some people it could be very, very huge. I could take several lives. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanam Mante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. The Jnanavan, the person who has the knowledge, he performs Sharanagati to me, referring to the Bhakti Yogi. The Bhakti Yogi comes to me when at the end of several lives. He is not implying that at the end of several lives of Bhakti Yoga he comes. But it takes several lives for a Bhakti Yogi to get created. So after so many lives, a Bhakti Yogi is created. That Bhakti Yogi surrenders to Krishna. Jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudevaha sarvamiti sa mahatmasu durlabha. Vasudevaha sarvam. If you go and ask in pure Advaita circles, they will say Vasudeva, the Shabda itself means Atma. Vasudeva sarvam. Everything is Vasudeva. See that way. Everything is the Atma. There is nothing other than the Atma. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. That is the explanation given in Advaita. What do we say in Vishishtadvaitha? Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Vasudeva is everything. Whatever I see, in all of that I see only Vasudeva. Why? He is the Sheshi. He is the Shariri. He is the creator. He is the indweller. He is everything. Therefore, no matter what I see, out of Atyanta Bhakti, I see only Vasudeva. Vasudeva Sarvamiti is a Mahatma. That person is a Mahatma. But is extremely difficult to find. Sudurlabha. That is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So, finding a Bhakti Yogi is extremely difficult. But being a Bhakti Yogi, succeeding in Bhakti Yoga is also extremely difficult. This is the reason why we advocated the path of Prapatti, which is Paripurna Sharanagati, complete surrender. And when it comes to Prapatti, there are four types: Swanishtha, Uktinishtha, Acharya Nishtha, and Bhagavata Nishtha. This is how we had seen it before. But depending on who you are performing for, are you performing it for yourself? Are you performing it for your Shishyas? Or are you performing it for other Bhaktas who are not your Shishyas? In this way, we can divide it. Why do we divide? Because the procedure is going to differ. If you want to perform for your own benefit, that requires you to be qualified. You should either have the complete knowledge by which you are performing Swanishtha, or as the Acharya recites, you repeat, follow Uktinishtha. When you are performing for Shishyas, how should the Shishyas be? Shishyas are those who go and approach the qualified Guru, qualified Acharya, and study from that Acharya. They learn Tattva, Hita, Purushartha. These Shishyas, if we are performing for our Shishyas, the Shishyas could also do it through Uktinishtha or through Acharya Nishtha. If they are fully qualified and then they do it for themselves, then Swanishtha could also be performed. But we always say Acharya Nishtha is the safest. Swami Deshika praises Acharya Nishtha. He says it is the most fortunate and the most clever and the most shrewd among the types of Sharanagati. Why? Swanishtha depends on my own karma. If out of my own karma I make some mistake or I learned something incorrectly, I could go wrong. Uktinishta, if my Ucharana has a mistake, I could go wrong. If I did not hear the Acharya properly due to my karma, I could go wrong. Acharya Nishtha is where my Acharya himself prays for me. For my Acharya, his Acharya has prayed. For his Acharya has prayed. There is a continuous line of Sharanagatas who have been granted Sharanagati. Bhagavan has said, Sakrideva Prapannaya Tavasmiti cha yachate Abhayam Sarva Bhutebhyo Dadamyetat Vratam Mama. Sakriteva. You do it once correctly. That is enough. If you do once also, I will grant Abhaya. That is the word of Bhagavan. And therefore, since he has granted for Bhagavad Ramanuja and his disciple, and his disciple, and his disciple, and so on, the entire parampara has come that way. So, because my Acharya has been accepted, when I am recommended by my Acharya, I will also be accepted. Because of the qualification of my Acharya, I will also get qualification. I may not have qualification by myself to get the Sharanagati accepted, but my Acharya would definitely have. In that way, Acharya Nishtha works. What about people who are not Shishyas? Suppose I want to perform Prapatti not for myself, not for my Shishyas, but for some other people. These people could also be of two categories. One is the group of people who do not have any knowledge. They are youngsters. Maybe they are dumb or blind or deaf. Maybe all the three. People who never studied anything, people who were illiterate their entire lives, people who lived in poverty, who did not get the opportunity so far to study, and now they don't have the time to learn everything and start practicing. Great Bhagavatas, they might be. They might be great devotees. What can we do? We can show pity on them through Bhagavata Nishtha. What about those who have the knowledge? People who do not have the knowledge, we can get it done through Bhagavata Nishtha. What about those who have the knowledge but are not Shishyas? These people can also undergo Sharanagati through Bhagavata Nishtha. If they approach a Bhagavata and if they pray, please perform Prapatti for me, then the Bhagavata can perform it. Both of these fall under Bhagavata Nishtha. Remember, one is where the Bhagavata takes pity on an ignorant being and performs it. The other is where the person is not ignorant but approaches the Bhagavata for Sharanagati. Both types are there. Now, each one of these three, performing Prapatti for myself, or performing for my Shishyas, or performing for the others, each one of these three can again be divided into two. Which two? I could perform Prapatti with complete knowledge, or I could perform Prapatti with basic knowledge. What is the difference between the two? When I have full knowledge, it means I have mastered the concept of Prapatti. When I have basic knowledge, it means I have only knowledge of Artha Panchaka. I know the knowledge of, let us say, the Angas of Sharanagati. Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshishyati iti vishvasaha. Maybe I know all of that, but I do not understand the concept of Sharanagati perfectly. Maybe I cannot understand the implications of the Angas of Prapatti. Maybe I need greater knowledge, but I do not have. But I have sufficient knowledge. How much ever knowledge is necessary to perform Prapatti, I have that much. But I am not a master of the concept. So, these two kinds are there. Whether I am performing for myself or for others, no matter what it is, there is a possibility that I am not a master of the concept. So, in total, we have 6 types when divided this way, correct? When we have complete knowledge, when we are masters, and when we are not masters. Whenever we are not masters of the concept of Prapatti, what happens is Ukti Nishtha. There is repetition because we are not masters. How is the Sharanagati, no matter which type? First, the Sankalpa, a pledge, a promise is made that the person is going to perform Prapatti. Then there is a recitation of the Dvaya mantra. Then the meaning of that mantra, which explains Sharanagati itself, it should be remembered and contemplated. Then the 5 Angas of Sharanagati have to be performed. What are the 5 Angas of Sharanagati? We have talked about 6, right? Shadvidha Sharanagati is what we have said. But in the 6, if you remember the Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshishyati iti vishvasaha, goptritva varanam. Then there is Atma Nikshepa and Karpanya. Atma Nikshepa itself means Sharanagati only. So, the other 5 have to be performed, and then Atma Nikshep has to be performed. This Prapatti, it can be performed for irrespective of ashrama, irrespective of varna, irrespective of age. Maybe a person is 90 years old, maybe a person is only 60 years old, doesn't matter. So all of those advantages are there for prapatti. All the issues, the disadvantages that we spoke about in the case of bhakti yoga are absent in the case of prapatti. Now, let us look at three important terms. One is called parabhakti. Para means supreme. Parabhakti literally means supreme bhakti. If you have continuously the supreme state of bhakti from which you do not move, what are you doing? You are performing bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is called parabhakti. How do you get into the state of bhakti yoga? Through shravana, manana, nididhyasana. Shravana, you first listen to it. Manana, you think about it. Nididhyasana, again and again you contemplate about it continuously. That nididhyasana, it is a kind of dhyana, right? Contemplation on it. So, how is this different? The Shravana Manana Nididhyasana from what is said in Advaita. In Advaita Vedanta, Shravana Manana Nididhyasana is done on Atma Swarupa, which is said to be attributeless Brahman. I am Atma Brahma, Tattvamasi. Those kinds of statements called Mahavakyas by them. That is what is contemplated upon. But in Vishishtadvaitha, what do we say? Shravana means listening to the auspicious qualities of Brahman. Manana means again and again thinking about the auspicious qualities of Brahman. Nididhyasana means performing a contemplation, a dhyana, in such a way that we are visualizing Bhagavan in our mind. We are visualizing Bhagavan looking in an auspicious way and having all of those auspicious qualities. This parabhakti, what does it lead a person to? I keep visualizing Bhagavan in my mind. It will create a craving in me to meet him. I will want to attain Bhagavan. If I keep contemplating on Bhagavan with auspicious qualities are always attractive by nature. Being attracted to him through his auspicious qualities, through his Kalyana Gunas, I will start craving to see him directly. When this craving comes to me, Bhagavan will also be pleased with me and Bhagavan will give me darshana. What is it called? Bhagavad darshana. Bhagavan will give darshana. When Bhagavan gives darshana, it is called parajnana. The sthiti, the state in which I am, it is called parajnana. Why? So far I was visualizing him in my mind, but now I have seen him. Today I have seen him. So it is not just some imaginary visualization. I have actually got parajnana. Bhagavan, being pleased with me, he comes and he shows himself to me in full. Fully he shows in whichever form I prayed to him, Rama, Krishna, whatever. Now I have got the stage of parajnana. From this stage, what happens? All this while, I heard about Bhagavan. I was more interested. I heard more. Bhakti developed. Due to bhakti, I started thinking again and again. Eventually, I started performing dhyana. The dhyana was very blissful. The dhyana on the auspicious qualities created a craving to meet him. This craving, when I started craving to meet him, Bhagavan, being Paramakarunика, supremely compassionate, he himself decided to show himself to me. When that happened, when Bhagavad Darshan, moksha, it is Darshana, not moksha. Bhagavan has shown himself. He has not given moksha yet. We should remember Bhagavan showed himself even to Duryodhana, but Duryodhana did not get moksha. So Bhagavan shows himself to us. What will happen after Bhagavad Darshana? After Bhagavad Darshana, a kind of anxiety will come to us. Anxiety in a positive way. How can you have anxiety in a positive way? Anxiety is always negative, right? Very simple. An anxiety that you are still being separated from him. The minute I get Bhagavad Darshana, I start thinking, all these years I have wasted. I have been away from this Bhagavan. Now he is coming and giving me Darshana. What do I want? I want the Darshana to be Shashvata. I want Bhagavan to be eternally available with me. For him to be eternally available, what should I do? For him to be eternally available, I have to attain moksha. I have to reach his Paramapada. I have to reach the Paraloka. Vaikunthe tu Paraloke Shriyasardham Jagatpati. That Paraloka has to be attained by me. So, when will I get Bhagavan completely? When will I get to be with him permanently? I am unable to stay away from him. Bhagavad Ramanuja very beautifully describes bhaktas. When describing yogis, Bhagavad Ramanuja in Gita Bhashya, he says, they are people who cannot live even for a second without seeing him. They are having that kind of a situation. He explains it. Where? In Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. In that chapter, fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In the fourth chapter, Bhagavan says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam sarjamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya shadushkrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In Paritranaya Sadhunam, Bhagavad Ramanuja explains who are these sadhus, what kind of life is he saving. Is it some invader coming to chop their head and Bhagavan takes avatara to protect him? Sometimes Bhagavan does that. Sometimes Bhagavan appears like how he appeared to protect the elephant, how Krishna appeared to protect Draupadi. Sometimes Bhagavan does that. But here, the bigger sadhus, the greatest sadhus, are those who cannot imagine their life for even 1 second. They can't even live for 1 second without being with Bhagavan. They have that extreme level of bhakti. For the sake of those sadhus, Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. I appear again and again in every yuga, says Bhagavan. Why? To give Bhagavad Darshana to those sadhus. I give Darshana to those sadhus who feel inseparable from me. They cannot bear separation. And once I come and give them darshana, they find it even more difficult to bear the separation. They get anxiety. But this anxiety is in a positive way. Why? Because it leads them towards moksha. Now, they want moksha all the more, at all costs. And they will travel to moksha. So, this is the order. This is the krama. Parabhakti, Parabhakti. When you say Parabhakti, it means supreme bhakti. When you say Parabhakti, you could also interpret it as bhakti in Bhagavan. Para being Bhagavan. So, bhakti in Bhagavan, Parabhakti, that is the sthiti of the bhakti yogi. Parajnana is the sthiti of the person who has got Bhagavad Darshana. And Parabhakti, Parama, even more supreme bhakti. Already, Parabhakti is a kind of supreme bhakti. In the sense, you continuously think about Bhagavan. But here, you are continuously thinking about Bhagavan, yet the term is Parama Bhakti, meaning it is one level above Parabhakti. Two levels above, in fact. There is Parajnana before. How is it superior to Parabhakti? It is superior to Parabhakti because in Parabhakti, you continuously thought about Bhagavan. In Parama Bhakti, you are continuously thinking, but you are unable to stay even for a second without him. That much love. It is love for Bhagavan that is taking you there. When you get that Parama Bhakti, you will get moksha at the appropriate time. This is how Bhakti Yoga functions. In the case of Prapatti, how does it function? Very simple. We say, Etad Deha Vasane Mam. At the end of this life, please accept me, grant me moksha. What does Bhagavan do? If you have performed Prapatti, at the end of your current life, Bhagavan will show himself. Even if you forget him, he will remember you. Aham smarami mad bhaktam nayami paramam gatim, said Varaha. Therefore, Bhagavan will remember us. Even if we do not have Antima Smriti. Upayeshu prapatti syat Antima Smriti Varjanam. So, we perform Sharanagati. We do not think about him every single second. We are hopeless people, but we have acknowledged that we are hopeless. Hey Bhagavan, we are hopeless. It is by your grace that we are coming to you, not by our own effort. By my own effort, if I try, I will fail. That is the bhava of a Sharanagata, Akinchanyatva, Karpanya bhava. With that bhava, when we perform Sharanagati, at the end of the life, Bhagavan himself will appear. And Nayami Paramam Gatim, he grants the Paramagati, that is moksha. So both Bhakti Yoga and Prapatti Yoga are fully valid. Both of them will work if you perform them properly. But which one is easier? Which one is practical? That we have to think. Given that we are able to perform, then the destination is the exact same for both. The destination is not going to be different at all. So, in ancient days, people very happily performed Bhakti Yoga. Today, it has become impractical. Therefore, we seek Prapatti. Unfortunately, I have lots of work today. I'm getting call after call. If there is any doubt based on whatever has been taught so far, please let me know.
No, it is quite clear. No doubts for me. Thank you.
Okay. But this is the step. What you see in the
I have a
slide,
doubt
Parabhakti,
actually.
Parajnana, Paramabhakti. Yes, please.
You said that Bhakti Yoga, to start Bhakti Yoga, that you need to be
Dvija. In the first life, when you begin Bhakti Yoga, in that
Dvija,
life you
right?
have to be a Dvija.
Uh,
After that, if you
but
are not.
if you see, uh,
Uh-huh. Yes.
can you say again? Actually, the voice actually cut down.
Sorry, if you see,
Hello.
hello, if you see what?
Hello, hello,
Hello,
hello.
am I
Actually,
audible?
if you see that in Srimad Bhagavatam, hello, 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 hello.
Yes, in Srimad
If you
Bhagavatam,
see that
please tell
in
me in
Srimad
Srimad
Bhagavatam,
Bhagavatam.
I didn't remember the exact words, but is there something about like Shudra cannot? So Shudra can't attend Dvija. So how come
No, no. Bhagavatam does not say
Bhakti
Shudra can
Yoga can be
attain
done by Shudras?
Dvijatva. Bhagavatam does not say that Shudra can attain Dvijatva. Firstly, I do not know where you study from. Secondly, Bhagavatam does not say anywhere that Shudra attains Dvijatva. It says he gets the respect. The respect that a Dvija gets, that level can be attained by a Shudra or even a Chandala. That Bhagavatam says, Vishnu Purana says, Mahabharata says, every scripture says. If Shudra is Advija, he does it does Bhagavatam does not say that Shudra gets Dvijatva. Okay, you bring the shloka, we will discuss it in next class along with the commentaries. Okay, try to find out the shloka, we will discuss it in the next class.
Oh, thank you.
Anything else?
No, no.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
for attending. All right.